Welcome to Senior Health Smart, your daily guide to heart health and smart aging. Why breakfast matters more after 60. I want to spread values and positive thinking in life, especially for seniors. Our health is not just a number on a report. It is our ability to love, to remember, to move freely, and to enjoy mornings without fear. For older adults, especially those over 60, breakfast is not just the first meal of the day. It is the first medical decision of the day. And that is not an exaggeration. What you choose to eat in the morning can set the stage for either strength or stroke. The heart and brain are especially vulnerable after sleep. During the night, blood pressure naturally dips. Upon waking, it begins to rise again. This sharp fluctuation is one reason strokes and heart attacks often happen early in the morning. So if you eat something that spikes blood sugar, increases inflammation, or constricts blood vessels, first thing in the morning, your already vulnerable system may face sudden dangerous pressure. That's why we need to start talking about what goes into the senior breakfast bowl. Sadly, many common breakfast items marketed as healthy can silently increase the risk of stroke. Most seniors are never told this by their doctors, so they keep repeating these habits day after day while the damage builds up quietly. One day it results in a medical emergency that could have been avoided. I'm speaking as both a cardiologist and a senior nutrition advisor. Every month I counsel elderly patients who thought they were eating well, but were unintentionally putting themselves at risk. The truth is, you do not need to be on a strict diet. You do not need to fear food. But you must understand which foods are silently triggering vascular damage, inflammation, or blood pressure surges. Today I will walk you through 10 common breakfast foods that I strongly recommend seniors avoid if they want to protect their heart and brain from stroke. These are not rare or exotic foods. They are right there on your breakfast table. They are in your pantry, your fridge, your grocery cart. And while each one may seem harmless on its own, the combined effect, especially over time, can triple your stroke risk. I know that sounds dramatic, but the data is clear. Stroke is the #1 cause of disability in seniors in the United States. And breakfast is one of the most overlooked stroke triggers in the daily routine. So in this series, you are going to learn not just what to avoid, but also what to eat instead. I will explain what happens in your arteries after you eat a sausage biscuit or pour yourself a glass of orange juice. I will tell you how certain healthy foods can spike your insulin and inflame your vessels. And most importantly, I will give you simple, delicious breakfast swaps that support your blood flow and reduce your risk. Because after 60, every bite matters. And breakfast might just be the most important decision you make all day. The worst offender, processed meats. Let us begin with one of the biggest culprits hiding in plain sight. Sausages, bacon, ham, and other processed breakfast meats are a major threat to cardiovascular health, especially in seniors. These meats are often cured with nitrates, saturated fats, and excessive sodium. The problem is not just the salt content, though, that alone is dangerous for blood pressure. It is also the compounds created during processing. When meats are cured, smoked, or preserved, they form substances called nitrosamines. These are inflammatory, carcinogenic, and highly toxic to blood vessels. They cause oxidative stress that damages the inner lining of arteries, making them stiffer and more prone to clot formation. For seniors who already have some degree of arterial narrowing, this can be the tipping point. When you eat bacon for breakfast, your body responds with a cascade of vascular inflammation. Your blood becomes more viscous, your vessels tighten, and your risk of a clot increases. The situation gets even worse when paired with refined carbohydrates like toast or pancakes. That combination of saturated fat and sugar is like gasoline on a fire. It triggers insulin resistance and endothelial dysfunction, the two key processes behind stroke and heart attack. You might say, but my bacon is nitrate-free. While that's a better option, it is not risk-free. Nitrate-free bacon still contains saturated fat and sodium. And while the nitrate content may be lower, the cooking process still produces harmful compounds like advanced glycation end products or AGEs. These AGEs accelerate aging in your blood vessels and brain. Another issue with breakfast meats is that they encourage overeating. Because they are high in salt and fat, they increase appetite later in the day and disrupt satiety signals. Over time, this leads to weight gain, which increases your stroke risk further. If you want to keep your arteries clean and blood flowing smoothly, avoid processed meats at breakfast. Choose instead high-protein, low-sodium options like soft-boiled eggs, plain Greek yogurt, or plant-based protein sources like tofu scramble or lentils. Pair those with fiber-rich vegetables and whole grains to support your digestive system and stabilize your morning blood sugar. You do not need to give up flavor. Use fresh herbs, spices, lemon juice, and even avocado to create richness without the risks. The more color on your plate from natural ingredients, the more your heart and brain will thank you. Remember, the typical American breakfast is built for taste and convenience, not longevity. But with a few simple swaps, you can create a morning routine that supports its circulation, reduces inflammation, and sets a healthy tone for the rest of your day. Hidden dangers in cereals and baked goods. Now let's talk about cereals, muffins, bagels, and toast. These might seem harmless, even comforting, especially on busy mornings. But for seniors, they can be a silent threat. The problem lies in the fact that these foods are highly processed and full of refined carbohydrates. When you eat a bowl of cereal or a slice of white toast, your blood sugar spikes rapidly. That spike leads to a sharp insulin release, which inflames your blood vessels and increases blood pressure. Over time, this repeated stress makes your arteries more brittle and raises the risk of clot formation. For older adults, especially those with pre-diabetes or hypertension, this is a dangerous cycle. You might say, well, I eat whole grain cereal. That's good, but only if it is truly whole grain and not just colored brown with molasses. Many so-called healthy cereals are loaded with sugar and lack fiber. The same goes for granola bars, which often contain honeycorn syrup and dried fruit that adds even more sugar. And let's not forget about muffins and pastries. These are often loaded with trans fats and hidden salts, even if they are labeled as low-fat or gluten-free. Trans fats are notorious for promoting inflammation and arterial plaque buildup. When you start your day with a muffin and orange juice, you are essentially telling your body to prepare for a storm. The spike in blood sugar followed by a crash makes you tired and hungry later, which often leads to overeating or unhealthy snacking. Over time, this rhythm damages your metabolic system and increases your risk for stroke, particularly ischemic stroke caused by blocked arteries. What is a better choice? Consider oatmeal made with unsweetened almond milk and topped with cinnamon, ground flaxseed, and a few berries. This combination gives you fiber, antioxidants, and heart-healthy fats without the sugar overload. Or try sprouted whole grain toast with avocado and a poached egg. These foods stabilize blood sugar, support brain function, and help regulate blood pressure. Your breakfast should not be a sugar bomb. It should be a source of steady, gentle fuel for your body. By choosing wisely in the morning, you are not just protecting your heart. You are protecting your independence, your energy, and your peace of mind. Fruit juices, coffee, creamers, and healthy yogurts. Continuing our journey through dangerous breakfast foods, we now need to talk about what you drink in the morning and how certain dairy products are silently sabotaging your cardiovascular health. Many older adults begin their day with a tall glass of orange juice, believing it's a healthy choice full of vitamin C. But here's what most don't realize. Even one glass of commercial fruit juice contains the sugar equivalent of several donuts. And unlike whole fruit juice, contains no fiber to slow down the absorption of that sugar. What happens next is a rapid spike in blood glucose followed by an insulin surge, which stresses your blood vessels. That's particularly risky for seniors with insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome. But the real danger lies in how frequently this pattern repeats day after day. The sugar load in juice promotes inflammation, damages the inner lining of your arteries, and can ultimately trigger plaque formation, the very process that causes strokes. It also increases triglyceride levels in your blood, another key risk factor for vascular events. If you're drinking juice and eating toast or cereal at the same time, you're doubling that sugar impact. Your body wakes up to a tsunami of glucose. It's not just fruit juice that's the issue. Many seniors add flavored creamers to their coffee or tea, which contain high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, and artificial flavorings. These ingredients do more than just sweeten your drink. They cause your blood to thicken, your vessels to harden, and your heart to work harder. Most creamers are loaded with trans fats, which have been linked to both heart disease and cognitive decline. And yet these products are marketed as sugar-free or cholesterol-free, hiding behind misleading labels. Another breakfast trap comes in the form of flavored yogurts. While yogurt can be a healthy food, many commercial brands targeted at older adults contain more sugar than a candy bar. Fruit on the bottom yogurts, for example, are loaded with syrups and additives that negate the probiotic benefits entirely. Some even include thickeners and artificial colors, all of which stress the digestive and circulatory systems. A better alternative would be plain Greek yogurt with fresh berries and a sprinkle of walnuts. This provides protein, healthy fats, and natural antioxidants, all of which support your heart and stabilize blood pressure. If you want a flavored drink in the morning, try herbal tea with lemon or black coffee with a splash of unsweetened almond milk.
Of your
And
plate
if
could
you're
be
missing
protein foods
sweetness,
such as
add a few
beans and
slices of
lentils,
apple or a
nuts
pinch
and
of cinnamon.
seeds.
The goal is not to strip your breakfast of flavor, but to make each ingredient work for you, not against you. Seniors need to be especially careful because the body's ability to regulate sugar, fat, and salt declines with age. Foods that seemed fine in your 30s or 40s may now carry serious consequences. That's why rethinking breakfast is not a diet trend. It's a vital part of stroke prevention. When you eliminate high-sugar drinks, artificial creamers, and sugar-loaded yogurts from your morning, you're giving your brain and heart a better chance to thrive. You're also reducing the daily inflammation that silently contributes to stroke risk. And over time, that adds up to longer, healthier mornings and a far stronger body. The final culprits: pancakes, fast food breakfasts, and energy bars. We've already covered how processed meats, sugary cereals, fruit juices, and artificial creamers can all quietly raise your stroke risk. But there are still three more dangerous breakfast habits we must address, and they may surprise you. Let's start with pancakes and waffles. These beloved breakfast classics are often made with white flour, sugar, and baking powder, then drenched in syrup or butter. For seniors, this combination can be especially harmful. First, white flour acts like pure sugar in the body. It is rapidly converted to glucose, which spikes your blood sugar and triggers a surge of insulin. As we've discussed, this causes inflammation in your blood vessels and stresses your cardiovascular system. Then comes the syrup, which is usually high fructose corn syrup, a sweetener known to damage the liver, increase triglycerides, and accelerate arterial plaque buildup. When eaten together, pancakes and syrup deliver a double punch to your blood vessels. This combination increases oxidative stress, thickens the blood, and can make platelets more likely to stick together,
Disease
setting the
or
stage for clot
arteriosclerosis
formation.
is caused by
Even if you use real maple syrup, the sugar load remains dangerously high for older adults. The next danger is fast food breakfast. For many seniors who live alone or have limited mobility, the drive-through seems like an easy solution. But those breakfast sandwiches, biscuits, and hash browns come at a heavy cost. They are loaded with sodium trans fats, processed meats, and white carbohydrates, all packed into a single meal. One fast food breakfast sandwich can contain more than 1,000 milligrams of sodium and more than half your daily limit of saturated fat. This overload causes your blood vessels to constrict, your heart rate to increase, and your blood pressure to surge. For someone with weakened arteries or a history of heart disease, that spike can be enough to trigger a stroke. Many fast food options are also cooked in industrial oils that are reused multiple times. These oils break down and form harmful compounds called aldehydes, which damage the endothelium, the thin lining inside your arteries that keeps blood flowing smoothly. When this lining is compromised, plaque forms more easily and clots become more likely. The final breakfast item you should be cautious about is the so-called energy or protein bar. These are often marketed as healthy options for busy mornings, but most are anything but healthy. Many bars are essentially candy bars in disguise, filled with refined sugars, cheap protein isolates, and artificial additives. Even low-carb versions often contain sugar alcohols or hidden sweeteners that can upset your metabolism. When eaten on an empty stomach, these bars can create an insulin spike similar to that caused by soda. And because they lack real fiber or whole food ingredients, they do little to nourish your heart or support blood flow. Instead, they contribute to sugar crashes, fatigue, and chronic inflammation, all of which increase stroke risk. If you're truly in a rush, it's better to grab a hard-boiled egg and a banana than any of these bars. You'll feel more satisfied, more energized, and your cardiovascular system will stay stable. The bottom line is this: breakfast is not just a matter of preference. It is a daily opportunity to either protect or harm your heart and brain. For seniors, that choice becomes more urgent with every passing year. Avoiding these 10 foods may seem small, but the cumulative effect is profound. By removing these silent stroke triggers from your mornings, you are taking powerful control over your long-term health. And that control can mean the difference between independence and disability, between a strong mind and cognitive decline, between life and loss. So choose wisely, because every morning your breakfast is your medicine or your poison. If you found this message helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share it with someone you care about, especially a parent, friend, or loved one over 60. Let's help each other live longer, healthier lives one morning at a time.